Well, on Fanalysis, we use fantasy football analytics to amplify our sports betting data and as a result, find the sharpest angles in what is an increasingly tight market. So let's bring in a sports betting analyst at Pickswise to clear it all up for us. Jared Smith. Jared, season props are certainly a fun way to show your expertise before the season begins. And if you pick right, it can really cash in at the season's end. So let's start things off right now with Jets receiver Corey Davis. His over-under total is 825. Now, we have seen him play in the preseason and connect with Zach Wilson very well early. Do you see the smart money landing on him going over 825 for the year? Especially, let's not forget, it's a 17-game season this year.
Yeah, you get the added game, and then just like you mentioned, that early rapport with Zach Wilson. It's always interesting to see when the new kid comes into the yard who he connects with early. And it was obvious that there's a certain chemistry there. And I think it's just because of the way Corey Davis runs his routes. He had one of his best years ever last season, almost got to 1,000 yards in just 14 games. And he was one of the leaders in the NFL in yards per route. So he's very efficient. And I think Zach Wilson is this offense for the Jets. We know it's going to be very aggressive. We know they're going to be behind in a lot of games. So I think all of those things flow kind of towards an over for me. If you notice, I don't like betting a ton of overs on some of these props just because I'm a little bit concerned with injuries. That to me is always the issue when you bet over on a prop because injuries can be so volatile. But if there is a guy I'd like to go over with in the yards category, I think Corey Davis fits the bill for the Jets. Especially
if, as you said before, if the Jets are going to be trailing in most of these games, they're going to be throwing the ball quite a bit. And if that's going to be the number one target, you've got a greater chance of him hitting that number.
Absolutely. And I think the system that the Jets are going to run this year, they are going to be uber aggressive. And it just, I get a good vibe early on in camp when you get that early rapport and you know a team is going to be behind in a lot of games like the Jets are. I will say this about Zach Wilson, though. I think maturity for him is going to be interesting because at some point they're going to, if early in the year they go to Corey Davis a lot and then the defense adjusts and starts taking Davis away, how Wilson adapts to that and keeps Davis engaged is going to be a big factor.
Corey Davis was the #2 highest paid free agent wide receiver this offseason. The highest paid free agent wide receiver this offseason plays for the Giants in Kenny Golladay, and his number is 1,000.5 yards this year. Given the fact that he's just recently returned to the practice field, do you have faith that he's going to have a 1,000-yard season?
I'm worried about Kenny because the soft tissue injuries, as you've seen over the years, Steve, they have a way of kind of lingering. And Kenny's had injury problems in his past. Now, when he's healthy, he's great. He's played in the league for 4 years. He's had 2 1,000-yard seasons. In those 2 1,000-yard seasons, 31 combined games. Well, the other 2 seasons, he didn't even get to 850 because he only played in 16 total games. So to me, this is essentially a games played bet. I think if Kenny Galladay's in the lineup for 14 or 15 games this year, he will likely go over this total, but I don't see that happening. And again, this is where injuries plays a factor in these season-long bets. I think because of the added game, the sportsbooks had to add yards to all these numbers. It's baked in, as we say. But if you think that a guy's injury prone and he's going to have to take 1 or 2 or 3 games off throughout the course of the year in order to get healthy for the stretch run, I think there's value to the under, and I think that's where I see Kenny Galladay's number finishing.
All right, let's dive into the 2 local quarterbacks and Zach Wilson. And the number that seems intriguing here, his over-under on interceptions is 13.5. By the way, mind you, last year, the highest number of interceptions out of a rookie was Justin Herbert at 10. So which way are you leaning on Wilson's season prop?
This is like a hedge your happiness kind of bet because see, I don't know if I've admitted this.
So wait, you're happy if you would,
but I am a Jets fan.
Okay.
I've been a Jets fan since I was a little kid. No, I think Zach Wilson's going to have a really fun year. And I use fun as an adjective that, you know, sometimes it's mischievous fun. Sometimes it's really exciting fun. I think there's going to be a lot of mischief in this Jets offense this year. And that's going to be, you know, prone to maybe committing some mistakes and some turnovers. You did a great job of mentioning to me that he's really been vocal about establishing a security with the football this year. That's easier said than done. And I do think he will try to do that. And I appreciate and applaud those efforts. But I think this Jets offense is going to be very volatile in 2021, to the upside and maybe to the downside as well. I think both the quarterbacks in town can be a little turnover prone. But I think Wilson's number tells me that the sports books definitely think he's going to throw a lot of interceptions this year.
Okay, but just by measurement, the most interceptions last year was 15. So he would be pushing the highest number of interceptions of any quarterback in the NFL last year. But I guess for a rookie, you might expect those kind of mistakes. But let's look at the other quarterback in New York, the Giants quarterback in Daniel Jones. We've seen that he has been underwhelming, but he has shown promise in the past. His over-under on interceptions, 12.5. Last year, he was at 10. Do you see him keeping the picks down?
I actually think both of these plays, with Wilson and with Jones to the over on picks, they're basically games played props, just like the Kenny Golladay one is. I think if you see Daniel Jones play in all 17 games this year, I don't think there's any doubt that he's going to average at least, if not one interception almost every game. That's just been the vibes that I've gotten from him in the preseason. Again, I don't want to read too much into the preseason, but then we look at last year and we see the mistakes and we've seen that he's turned the ball over a bunch. And I haven't seen the growth. I haven't seen the jump just yet, like we've seen in prior years, especially last year with Josh Allen. That leap that Josh Allen took, I haven't seen that yet with Daniel Jones. So I think, again, this is basically a games played number. And if Daniel Jones plays in most of the games this season, I expect he's going to make a lot of mistakes and throw a lot of interceptions, as we've seen in preseason and as we've seen in prior seasons.
And by the way, I made a mistake there as well. I said he had 10 interceptions. He actually had 12 interceptions. You had it right on your graphic. So, mistakes are all around.
It's preseason. We're all right. We're going to smooth it over, Steve. We're good to go.
All right. Well, that's a look at the best plays for the Jets and the Giants individual props. Make sure you check out his team props in our other segment. For Jared Smith at Pickswise, I'm Steve Overmyer. This is Fanalysis.